Hello, first-time coders. We would like to send our shout out to Nigerians on their Independence Day. May your country continue to prosper. Today, we would like to develop a computer game using what we have learned so far. That is, mathematical, comparison, and boolean operators, and the if conditional statement. The computer game is called Tic Tac Toe. It's played on this frame and it needs two players. One of the players uses the letter X and the other player uses the letter O. The player that manages to arrange all three of his characters horizontally, vertically, or diagonally wins the game. So what we will do now is we need a plan. So for example, we know that we have to draw this frame using Python, and how many spaces do we need in each of the boxes? So I can assume we need how many characters? Let's say 4. So if you take this place, this is a character, this space is another character, this is another character, and this space is another character, which means we need 4 spaces. So let's go to our Jupyter notebook and let's print our frame. So another thing we should note is that we need variables to store the position of our characters. So if we have the frame, then we can say, okay, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I as our variables, so that we can associate each of the variables with the position we have just developed here. So let's do this. Okay, now let's create these variables. So we have A, it has nothing inside it but a space. Okay, then we have B, then we have C. To make life easier, let's arrange them the way they are in the table. In Python, if you want to write 2 statements on the same line, you use the semicolon to signify the end of each statement. So this is our first line. Then we can just come to the next line. We'll have this here. For E, we'll have. So we do it this way so that the players can know which of the places to put their character. Then here, all we have to do is just print the messages. So we'll have, if we look at our design, we will have a space here, then a character, then a space here, then a character. So we can just assume each character has 1 space after it. So we'll just come here and say, all right, %s. So we have 2 characters, right? One is the variable, the other is the character that is the stick. So if you remember, we said each one should have the character and a space, so 2 characters. So we have 2 characters in this string and 2 characters in this string. So we'll do the same for B, and we'll do the same for, so for B we will add 2% S's, if that's a word, and then we have C, right? So we have C here, only one. Okay, now you can see if we run this, we'll have our space, and if you try to put a value in A, B or C, whatever you put will be printed. So we'll do this for the remaining columns as we have planned here. So we can just copy this and do the same for D, E and F. So for example, this will be D and this is G. So these are our variables. So now if somebody puts X here and if you run it, the X will appear there. If someone else puts O here, if you run it, the O will appear there. Alright, this is the advantage of using the formatted statement. But we forgot one thing. We need the horizontal bars. So we can say print. So if we count the number of spaces we have one space for the let's check it here. So we have one space for the character, then the character, then another space, then another space for this bar. So that means each box has 4 spaces and we have 4 of them. Okay, so we have 3 of them, sorry. So that means I can just come here and say, all right, so print print underscore, let's use equal sign, I think it will look better, 4 times, 12 times, since we have 12 spaces. So let's try this. Okay, looks good. So let's do it for the others. So if you use a multiplication sign with a string, you are telling the computer to repeat that string the number of times you given. So in this case, we said repeat this string 12 times. So you use addition if you want to join 2 characters together, called concatenation, and you use multiplication if you want to repeat the same character over and over. So I think now we have our nice table. The next thing we do is, perhaps this equal sign doesn't look nice. Let's try underscore dash. Let's try dash. Yeah, dash, much better. Okay, so the next thing is, how do we calculate the scores of each user? We can use the if statement to see the scores of each player. If nobody wins, then we don't print any message. So if statement, we can say, all right, if A is equal to X, let's finish with the horizontals. If A is equals to X and B is equal to X and C is equal to X, right? Then we can also say, all right, this is one condition. Or if this player has X in the second line, so if this player has X in the second line, which is DEF, or if the player has horizontals in GHI. So this is I, this is H, and this is GHI. Okay, so now we have all this. Okay, then we can check for the diagonals too. Okay, so we can check, we can do it in the same if statement, but let's do another one so that it doesn't get boringly big. So we have G, E, and C. So this will be G, E, and C. Or if the player plays A, E, and I. So this will be I, this will be E, this will be A. So this is a diagonal win. So we can just do something like this, and we can say, all right, print player X wins, right? So then we have the horizontals. Okay, let's align this with that, even though they are not in the same if statement, just to make things look nice. Then we can do it for let's just copy this and then do some modifications to it. So we are checking for the diagonals, right? So we have A, D, and G. Or if we have B, E, and H. Or if we have C, F, and I. Okay, C, F, and I, C. Okay, so this is what we have, and this is also a win, right? So depending on which one, so let's try it. Now supposing our player plays X, and if we run it, we have that, and if our player plays another X here, if we run it, we can see that player X wins. Okay, so let's do the same for O. Now pause the video and do the same for O before you see our own solution to that. Congratulations, you guessed it right. We just replace all the X with the O's and add it to the code. So we can also keep scores, right? We can create two variables right here, and we can say X is equal to first we need to create a cell above. Just press A to add a cell above, and then we put X equal to 0, Y equal to 0, O equal to 0, right? And then for the first time when running the code, we run this, and then in the subsequent runs we just come here and run this cell. So x equal to x plus 1, right? Which means we will increase x by 1 since x wins. Wherever x wins, we will just increase the count of x by 1. Here we'll also do the same thing. And here we'll increase O. O equals to O plus 1. The same for here. And here. So basically what this does is the left hand side of the right hand side of the equation is the addition. So the computer will look for whatever is in the memory of O and it will add 1 to it and then save it inside O again, but it will clean the previous value. So that's what we did. And then we can just say here print player x equal to, and then we put the value for x, and then player y you can have a new line here. Player y player o equals to, and then we put the value for o. Note that whenever you put something in quotes, you are expected to print it exactly the way it is. Please refer to our string video to understand this. Now let's try our code one more time. If you run this, oh yeah, so I remember to run this first whenever you are starting the code, and then run this later to execute the project. So we have to initiate remove all the x here to start the program. Okay, so let's run. Let's start with this and then let's run this. So this is our tree and everybody is 0. So suppose an x plays here, we run it, and then o plays here, for example. Okay, so then we can say, all right, x plays here. Let's run the code. Okay, then O plays here. Let's run the game. Then x plays here, and you can see x wins and we have 1 0. Oh, one more thing. So now we need to need some comments to explain what our code does so that it's easy to read. Displays our game frame, and then here is the game logic. Here is check-in if X player wins, and here we are checking if O player wins. Okay, and here we can say count score for X, and you can do that for the others, and for here we can say count score for count score for O player. So what this does is it allows other programmers to understand what our code does. And here we can say display scoreboard. Okay, so we can clean the game and start all over. But you can see the score is still there, and we can start now. O will start the game. X is being cunning. Okay, so O plays here. So we run it, and then X plays here. We run it, then O plays here. And you can see O wins. To clean all the scores, we can just come here and run this in the beginning of the game, and then we clean the inputs to start a new game. So you run this, you can see everybody is off. Thank you very much, and see you next time.